too. I guess the issue is that I still have no idea what your like fundamental ethical basis is. I think that
what is Christian? Then tell me what Christian ethics are.
How the fuck should I know? All of you.
Well, I just explained them to you.
Completely incoherent every time I talk to a Christian, so I have no idea. I will never know. I don't think. I asked you and you got mad at me, so I feel like
no, I didn't get mad at you. I explained them to you.
So okay, where does your divine command theory come from?
God.
Okay, how do you know your God is the correct one?
Well, regardless, even if I was wrong, let's just assume for a second I was completely wrong and my God was not the correct one. This really doesn't change the question of Christian nationalism and whether I think that both the results and the things that I want to see in society would be correct. So regardless of even if all of the beliefs from which I derive divine command would be false, the integration with the state would still be what I would advocate for, just like you, the communist. Even if your beliefs are fundamentally false, based on nothing more than your ideas, you still want to integrate them and see them in society. So we're not here to have a religious debate over whether God is real. We're here to have a debate over whether or not Christian nationalism is something that can even be done. I propose that it is, and I propose that the ideas are better than your communist outlook, which we're much closer to than we are a Christian outlook.
God willing, inshallah. Yes, of course. So again, how do you know that your God is real? Like, how do you know that you have the right set of
Why does that? What is that? If you can tell me what this has to do with the topic of the debate, I'll engage with it.
It's literally the foundational position of your entire ethical
system.
System.
Well then why? How do you know communism is true?
Okay, sure. I mean, we can talk about my ethical system. So as a utilitarian, I believe in maximizing a set of axioms that I've arbitrarily determined to be things that I prioritize. I think that
so you don't know it's true.
I don't think you can make metaphysical assessments.
Well, then why are you asking me what's true? Who gives a shit?
Because I'm not making a determinative statement about my.
Is anything ever true?
No, wait, hold. Well, I mean, that really depends on what you mean by true. But you're the one making.
So can you know objective truths? Can you know something is 100% true? Can you know that?
It really depends on the definitions. You'd have to define all of your terms. But also, you're the one, the legitimacy of your claims sort of rests upon the idea that your moral beliefs, your duties, your precepts, your obligations, or whatever, are ones that I should respect. Whereas my axioms are things like human happiness, which I challenge you. If you don't respect things like human happiness, I would argue that you don't even have a right to be dictating policy for anybody, because
based on what? You just said that your system is arbitrary. So why should I respect an arbitrary system that doesn't even claim to have any sort of command other than what you come up with out of your own brain as a preference?
This is like you getting upset with somebody else because you're arguing that their decisions aren't even made by the invisible friend that you have. Like, this isn't a battle.
Who are your decisions made by? You?
So do you believe that human happiness is a worthwhile goal in terms of maximization?
I think that happiness is something that should be adjusted for, but it's not the primary duty of people to make other people happy.
Adjusted for. Okay. So do you think that a world in which people are happier is a better world than a world in which people are less happy, all other things being equal?
If all things were equal, I would say that if you had a happier population, that would be better than not having a happier population. Yes, than a less happy population with all things equal. Now, let me ask that question back to you. Okay, if all things were equal and people prospered, but they were less happy than a nation that prospered less and that nation was happier, which nation would you prefer to prosper? Which one would you prefer to live in?
What do you mean by prosper?
So their health is better, their dynamics are better, almost everything is better. They're just a little bit less happy than the other nation.
A little bit less happy?
Yeah, just a little bit less.
Well, I feel like those things would kind of be factored into the happiness. But if you're arguing like...
I just said all things equal, Vaush. I answered your question in good faith, answered mine in good faith. If all things are equal, one population is just slightly less happy, but the other population by every other metric is doing better than the population that's just slightly less happy.
But that's not all other things.
It's your moral imperative to go to the population which is less happy.
You can't.
Yeah, it's baked into the hypothetical. All things equal.
You can't say all things equal and then say every other thing is different.
You can't ask me the same question.
Wait, hold on. I'm answering your question.
If this is the most bad faith debate tactics I've ever seen.
Oh my God, I'm answering your question. You're so like right off the cuff. You're so ready to be
triggered. Then do it. Then answer it.
I was just pointing out it's funny that you would say all things be equal, but then you would
say
answer the question. Every other thing is different.
Yeah.
I guess that would. I guess I'm just struggling to imagine. But if it's like they're much healthier and more prosperous, I guess I think it would really depend on other circumstances because there are other axiomatic values that I think you could adjust for.
So then happiness is not the primary value. So then shut up, Vaush. Your argument's stupid. Your fucking argument's stupid.
So no, it's one of them. That's why I said axioms with an S. There are multiple things that you would try to.
So why tell me? Why tell me? Andrew, we can't accept your system because it doesn't make happiness the primary thing. And then when I give you the same exact example back, you also claim happiness can't be the primary thing. There's multitudes of things that you have to adjust for, Vaush.
Okay, so what are the multitudes of things for you?
So I would look at virtues. I would look at duties. I would look at outcomes. I would look at all of these as a holistic.
Outcomes
as a holistic.
So you notice how every time I ask you for specific questions about what it is you're trying to do or what changes you're trying to make, you sort of generalize by waving your hands at this broad, vague, indeterminable like group of virtues that you probably don't actually subscribe to or believe in. Early on in this debate, you
which virtues do you think I don't subscribe to? You haven't even asked me what they are.
So
you haven't even asked me what they are.
I have. I've been asking, dude. You can't be like, bro. You haven't. You didn't even ask. I've been asking for like half an hour.
No, you just said give me a broad. You say give me a broad overview, and when I do, you say why didn't you give me anything more specific?
What?
If you have a specific.
To be fair, Andrew did say about banning abortion. That's one he gave, and the second one he gave is I know there was one more. It was something about.
So those are policy positions, but why?
You asked for those too. I've answered every question you've had, and you've been as evasive as possible.
So why are these things virtues? What is a virtue? Give me an example. Policies to maximize what?
So if you're talking about virtues themselves, when you were talking about virtue as morality, virtues are the building blocks of what makes a person. So we're looking at the actual behaviors of the person to judge whether or not the person is moral. That would be a virtue. Okay, so I can give you many of those types of virtues. I think you would likely agree with them. But with the virtue in Christian ethics comes duty. So you have a duty, for instance, to obey Lord Jesus Christ's teachings. You have duties to do these things as well. So these things work together. The church itself has given virtues which are passed down from Christ Lord, who explains what these virtues are supposed to be and how you are supposed to act and behave in society and how you're supposed to act and behave towards other people or untowards to other people.
And why
under your system, why should I listen to yours? It's the same criticism back.
So I keep answering this, and
yeah,
no,
yeah,
please, you
okay,
can't keep
fine. I'll give you the same answer because it's axiomatic.
That's not what I was going to say. You don't.
But that's what your answer was. Your answer was just that it's axiomatic.
You have to earn the right to be blasé and dismissive about another person's ideas. You have to know what they are first. So the difference is, I don't think you can make determinative claims about the metaphysical. I think that in order to have any ethical system, you have to admit that there is a degree of arbitrarity and bias, and you have to work from that. The problem that I have with divine command theory is not that it's metaphysical in nature, because so is mine. The difference is that I acknowledge the arbitrarity, something I think everyone has to.
Why would that make it better?
You have to let me finish, because you make it up. So it's like
so do you.
So no, there's
it's the same criticism applied. So do you,
please, Andrew. You are so ready to interrupt. Okay, so there is a huge.
Well, otherwise you'll go on a diatribe for the next year.
You could learn from it. There is a huge difference between saying I don't think we can make determinative metaphysical statements. However, I do think
is that a determinative statement?
Andrew, let's let Vaush finish his point, and then you can respond.
Go ahead.
However, if we decide to prioritize these things, I think it's good for people. So, for example, I don't think it's possible to objectively. Yes, that's the point. The difference is I'm the one 10,000 years ago who says, I don't know why the lightning strikes. And you're the one who says that it must be because the gods are angry. You make fun of me for not being willing to make a statement you can't justify, but that's your weakness in my logic. So I can acknowledge
you don't have any logic
weakness of metaphysical arguments, and I think it's a necessary presupposition when discussing ethics. Your arguments rely on a presumptive statement about the metaphysical God that you can't justify, and that is the critical difference. If you asked me, how do you know that human happiness is good to prioritize for? I would answer, you know what? I don't think I can objectively prove that. I think I can gesture at what human happiness has done for the world.
So then you have nothing.
And I think that it makes people better. I think that it
So
improves
so then
things.
you so
Whereas
I want to
please,
tell
I'm
you.
almost done. You trying to like jump in.
Okay, so when you're almost done, how much longer does that
Almost done.
mean?
You want me
I'll
to
give him.
you a
I'll give
time?
him another 30
10?
seconds, and then I'll let you
Alright.
interrupt.
So, the difference with you is that for your positions to make sense, you're referring to like the word of God. You have to explain why that should be listened to. My argument for why my axioms are relevant is to gesture at the world and say, is happiness not good? That's the most I can do. Yours is to say, well, you 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 also can't prove your axioms, which I know. That's the point. But you have to prove yours because otherwise you're essentially engaging in like a postmodernist defense of not believing in God while repeating his suppositions. It makes no sense.
As stated before, and you just demonstrated, any criticism you move towards me is equally applied to you. You just got done stating that your system is
I just said you would
arbitrary.
do this.
Let me finish. That your system is arbitrary, that your system is not grounded, that you yourself and your axioms cannot be demonstrated while demanding that I demonstrate mine. However, if I'm going from your worldview, which I'm just trying to do, I'm just trying to go from your worldview, the utilitarian worldview, I still can make a better case for why Christian ethics in society is far superior to your libertarian communism, and have made good arguments for why that is the case, even just using birth rates, and you have refuted none of it. This is a joke. By the way, you say that you can't make a deterministic statement, which is a deterministic statement. How dumb are you, Vaush?